to Unravel with Natalie Denise.
What up, guys? Welcome. Or actually, I forget, muchachos y muchachas. That's what I really should be beginning with. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Nightly with Natalie. Thank you guys for tuning in. And thanks for tuning in to this channel. I know this is a different little set of events because usually I go live on my main channel. Unfortunately, right now it is still struck. It is entirely frustrating. I've been trying to communicate with my little internal sources. I belong with a couple people that I partner with, so I was hoping that there was some progress, but unfortunately, I don't think we have progress today. So unfortunately, I can't upload. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Like I was going through the footage yesterday that they struck down. And it was from it was like old podcast. Remember when the McCloskeys made the news? Hey, what up, guys? I'm going to read your locations. Remember when the McCloskeys made the news and they were defending their properties with like their guns and stuff? It was around that time. And I was reporting on a human exploitation, scheme or whatever. And it seemed to be that there were some words that they didn't like, and they said that I was harassing and cyberbullying. I mean, it's so frustrating because it's like I listened to the entire 1 hour podcast, and I was like marking down. Here it goes. I was like marking down all of the timestamps. I was like, here at this timestamp, I said alleged. And then here at this timestamp, I was like reading off of like Newsweek or whatever. Like I was literally putting in the work. And then I submitted the appeal last night. And by this morning, they had denied my appeal. So it's frustrating. Because you just never know like what they're persecuting you for. But anyway, but I was having a thought today. I was like, because I actually had another thing that have been brewing, like this idea that has been brewing in my head and on my heart, and really something that God put on my heart to start. Well, I didn't mean to rhyme, but it rhymed. And I hadn't had time to like do it, like do the actual, like, actually put it into play. And so finally today I was like, you know what? Like I need to work on this. Like this is the perfect time to work on this. So I've been working on it all day and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be huge. It's going to be big. It's going to be a big, big thing. I think even bigger than the documentary, which is something I'm also going to work partly on tomorrow. The Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington documentary. I think I mentioned to you guys, when did I mention to you guys? I forget when I mentioned. Oh, it was on a live. It was on an Instagram live. But just an update on that. So I actually I onboarded another person onto the documentary to do the Chester Bennington piece because from what I researched, like there was like the police report and then there was like, self-assessments about the autopsy, like, available documentation. And this person who I brought onto the documentary, she is a Chester Bennington enthusiast. And so she somehow like made a lot of great progress. That's what I'm going to say. She made a lot of great progress so far in the short time that she's been doing it. I'm almost really thankful for the delay on this documentary because if I would have just like edited it and published what I had already, it wouldn't be as in-depth as what she has. And, I just believe like this was an aligned time for me to befriend her and to talk about it with her. Because we actually talked about that part earlier this year. I want to say like in the summertime, like June, like around the June area, in the summertime. And she was just kind of like laying stuff down. She was like, hey, like, I just, there's a lot of suspect things about this person and, this event that happened in regards to Chester. And like, I don't think that people are looking at this. So she was kind of already guiding me earlier this year. And then, I just got really, really swamped with deliverables for instance, with this, of course, this is what I do. So I've got to, still make my, my mic's about to fall. I just have to still make my deliverables. Hold on. Of course it would do it right now. Of course you would fall. Lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. So anyway, the documentary is coming along swimmingly. I am actually adding like the finalized effects to the first part of the documentary. My there we go. My fellow contributor to the documentary, she's currently putting together the documentation for the rest of the documentation for Chester Bennington. So I am so very excited about that. So anyway, I was talking about this other idea that I was having before the documentary. This is going to be a big, huge thing. I think I really do think so because, do I want to talk about it yet? No, I don't think I want to talk about it yet. Let's just say that I'm working on something, part of my calling, my purpose, you know what I mean? With the whole combating human trafficking and all that. But I think it's going to be, good. I think it's going to be good for everybody. I'm just going to say that much. Anyway, let's say what else? So the whole Kamala Harris thing yesterday, that just like it caught fire today. I'm glad I reviewed it last night. It was actually really, really funny. Kind of seeing it catch fire today, but everybody's like calling it a phony and all these things. It's just crazy that I think YouTube actually confirmed that they had to like cast out the child actors or something like that. Like you have to hire kids to be part of like your little NASA scheme. It's hilarious. But yeah, it's funny watching that catch fire today. Glad I covered it last night. So anyway, moving on. Let's go ahead and move on to. I probably have my calendar up here. Let me see. Yeah, no, it stayed. Yay! Let's move on to some news. Let's go ahead and get jamming here. Get it jamming. As you guys can hear, my voice is still a little bit coarse. I'm still trying to recover. So just bear with me here. But anyway, so Hunter Biden just keeps like making the headlines, and it's just strange timing. It's always strange timing because it's like, guys, you've had this laptop for a while now. Like I would say like a good solid year. There have been contents of that laptop that just sort of made its way out. But somehow, like, there's always new details that somehow, like, they somehow trickle out of the whole Hunter Biden fiasco. And I don't know, I just think it's kind of a weird timing. But anyway, now they're implicating Joe Biden on this whole thing. So what I, like, just at the top of my head, what I remember with Hunter, laptop, I want to say like last October. Actually, it's been a year. It's actually been a year since this whole fiasco with the laptop, hit the at least alternative news. And so we were learning a lot about Hunter. We're learning about his videos, about his selfies. Actually, I need to actually go through this. This is hilarious. And what's its face? There was a freaking, it just jogged my memory right now. There was a Hunter Biden doll that I shared on my Instagram stories. It was just too hilarious not to share. So I'm going to try to share that with you guys. So anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, so anyways, new details just keep coming out. So as you guys remember last time, Hunter Biden, the last we know, He was under a tax investigation. Apparently, that's still underway. We really don't have any updates with that. Also, with the contents of his laptop, details that were coming out about, his, it really was like more like his relationships and his habits and stuff like that. For the most part, his really weird, his really weird lifestyle. But also, it was uncovered. I'm not sure that it was from his laptop or what, but there was some new details that were uncovered about the Secret Service and how, he still had the Secret Service like employed even after Biden's vice presidency. And, people were questioning whether or not they were covering his butt while he was also, still doing drugs and hiring prostitutes and all these things. So that was a big conflict of interest already. Well, now they're implicating, or I'm just going to say possibly implicating. I'm not even going to say that because, you know how these little overlords are. Joe Biden could become embroiled in the FBI's probe into Hunter's finances, experts say. Emails reveal they shared bank accounts, paid each other's bills, and the president may have even funded his son's 2018 drug and prostitution binge. That's a big, that's a lot already. Hey, Scott. Hey. Oh, well, before I go into this article, let me sound off on where you guys are from. ATL, Virginia. Where else? Santa Fe, New Mexico, ATL, Washington State. Welcome. Missouri. Awesome. It's great to see you guys. Thank you so much for checking in. I love you guys. Okay, so let's get into it. So now they're questioning, like, okay, did Joe Biden possibly fund his habits, his things? And we'll see. Resident Joe Biden's been getting away with a lot lately. So let's see what they have to say here. Resident Joe Biden could be embroiled in an FBI investigation of Hunter's finances, experts say, as emails reveal that father and son shared accounts and paid each other's bills. Emails recovered by DailyMail.com, Hunter's abandoned laptop between Hunter and Eric Schwerin, his business partner at consultancy Rosemont Seneca, show Schwerin was working on Joe's taxes, discussing his father and son's paying each other's household bills, and even fielding requests for a book deal for the then vice president, as well as managing the donation of Joe's Senate papers to the University of Delaware. It's unclear why Schwerin and his intimate role of vice president's affair rather than the government's officials in the office of the vice president. Hunter's claim. So, by the way, let me just, before I move in. Oh, Puerto Rico. Hey, Puerto Rico. Thanks for tuning in. Daily Mail, which is where I'm reading from, they were actually the publication that verified the authenticity of Hunter Biden's laptop. They were very exclusive about this. I suppose that they received some sort of, or I believe they received a copy of the hard drive, and they hired a forensic expert, a forensic company. They commissioned them to, find out and declare whether or not this was a legitimate, hard copy of his laptop. And they declared that it was. Okay, so I just wanted to insert that piece of information there for you guys who didn't know. So Hunter's claim that he and his father shared a bank account also raises serious questions whether funds from alleged joint account were used for Hunter's May 2018 week-long bender with a prostitute at the Hollywood Hotel. Now, I think that this is the actual incident that they reported on last year. I think it was last year. Maybe it was earlier this year. I think it was last year. I'm not sure. But this was a Secret Service incident. So apparently he had a prostitute in his room, and the Secret Service was on duty for him at the very moment. And I think that Hunter had, I can't remember completely, so I could be completely wrong. But I believe that he had used his drug paraphernalia, as well as there was a prostitute in his room at the time that Secret Service was texting him hey, we we need you to respond or whatever. We need you to come downstairs. And, you know, Hunter was taking a long time. I think this was the incident that they're talking about at the Hollywood Hotel. So they're saying in this article, if you're not catching on yet, that President Biden could possibly have been a funder of this entire thing here, this entire thing. Last December, Hunter admitted in public statement that he was under federal investigation over his tax affairs. A former federal prosecutor and expert on money laundering and criminal tax law tells DailyMail.com that if money was flowing between Hunter and his father, sorry, let me take a sip. That can make Joe a target of the probe, but that investigators that would have a tough time sitting down with the president. Whatever transaction you're looking at, if there's a connection to a family member or a friend, sure, the answer is yes, it could be investigated. He said, obviously, if you're talking about the president of the United States, you'd better have a pretty damn good reason to talk to that person. And let's take a look at the screenshot. I just kind of like whizzed down the little the pictures, because I don't know what the overlords are looking for. It says, this is an email from Eric Schwerin. Your dad's Delaware tax refund check came in today. I'm depositing it in his account and writing a check in that amount to you since he owes it to you. Don't think I need to run it by him, but if you want to go ahead, if not, I'll deposit it tomorrow. So Eric Schwerin, Rosemont Seneca Partners, who is basically like liaisoning Hunter Biden and his father on their funds. And, he's basically saying like, hey, don't know that you necessarily have to check with your papa, but he got a check. I'm going to deposit some of that money, that moolah, into your account. Look at the timing. June 10th, 2010. Okay. Moving on. The FBI and the IRS probe is reportedly also looking into his foreign business relationships at the potential for money laundering charges. The Senate Security Committee issued a report last year raising fears that the Chinese government was attempting to influence the White House through a $1 billion business deal between Hunter's company and co-funded with Schwerin? Yeah. Rosemont Seneca and Chinese oil giant SEFC. John Cicera, a former U.S. intelligence officer and Treasury special agent who is an expert in money laundering investigations, said that were Joe not president, okay, he would probably be in prosecutors' crosshairs by now, along with his son. Well, of course. There's been so much that we've already seen, like, in the public eye. It's insanity that we see, like, we see things transpire. Like, for instance, today, Jen Circleback, she was talking in the regards of the whole Southwest incident. She's like, it's a bunch of hubbub, that it's about it's about poking the arm mandates. When it's clearly like these employees are literally saying it out of their mouths. Like, this is literally what's happening. This is why there's like a strike of an essence. And Jen Circleback is literally saying, like, don't believe what you see or don't believe what you hear. So things are like actually transpiring in front of our faces. But of course, the nepotism and the privilege, so to speak, that they have, it's not going to come to light. So let's go ahead and continue. The information available publicly is very worrisome, particularly in the areas of corruption, Cicera said. They could go from different avenues, follow the corruption trail, and then charge money laundering. Corruption is a predicate offense for money laundering, and besides corruption, it's the perception of corruption. This kind of thing should not be happening. It's undermining the full faith of the U.S. government. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people undermined it and didn't have a lot of faith in the U.S. government for a while now. And yet some events and deep commercial relationship between Hunter's firm and the VP's office during Joe's tenure. Rosemont Seneca received special favors from the White House while Joe was in office, including dozens of tickets to inclusive 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue events and private tours of Rosemont Seneca clients for associates. And this is known. I mean, these are some known things. Like, Joe and Hunter, they deny until they're blue in the face all day that they had like no leverage for, Joe Biden didn't leverage his position as vice president to get his family deals or jobs or anything like that. Even Politico, I think, did a piece on them. And they were like, hey, yo, like, kind of looks like, Biden's been dealing these things for his family. Like, Politico did a piece on that, I think, last year. So this is nothing foreign to us. And yet more evidence of a deep commercial relationship between Hunter's firm and VP office during Joe's tenure, Rosemont Seneca received special favors. They got tickets and all these special little corporate gifts. When an aide to Senator Robert Menendez requested VP Biden host a U.S.-Spain Council's 2010 annual meeting at his office Naval Observatory residence in Washington, D.C., they contacted Schwerin rather than Joe's White House office. Hunter and Schwerin would privately discuss the potential to integrate themselves with the CEOs at major banks if they arrange the request. I'm just going to kind of skip through these. These are just like kind of some correspondence. Now here's the part where it kind of ties in the overlap between Hunter Biden and Resident Joe. Hunter complained that half of his salary went to paying his father's bills while he was VP, casting doubt on Joe's previous claims that he was never benefited from his son's business dealings. In a 2019 text to his daughter, Naomi, he wrote, I hope you all can do what I did and pay for everything for his entire family for 30 years. It's really hard. But don't worry, unlike Pop, who is Joe he's talking about, I won't make you give half of your salary. Bills Hunter paid for Joe included a $190 a month AT&T phone bill and thousands in repair and on President's Lake side home in Willington. So there's a lot more correspondence here, but basically there was a lot of interlacing between Resident Biden and his son, back in the day. And, they were paying each other's bills. They were depositing money in each other's accounts. And so this becomes a conflict of interest, of course, besides the fact that Resident Joe was already leveraging his position as a vice president at the time to, garnish jobs, deals, I think contracts. There was like, where was it? There was like contracts in the Middle East for his brother. It was like construction contracts. And they were, of course, you guys know about the whole island thing. Where was it? I forget what the island is called. It's near St. Thomas. It's where is it near St. Thomas? No. It was actually controversial because it was near sort of near Little St. James a little bit. Although I will say that I did a video on that. It's on nataliedenise.tv. If you guys want to go watch that for free, you can. I did a video on that, just kind of exploring through like just the concrete details that we do know. So what I can say about that is that we cannot 100% conclude from concreteness that, they had anything to do with that area, if you know what I mean. But there was definitely some, banter with his business partner. His brother, Joe Biden's brother, bought like a little piece of land on that island, private island, but they never developed the plot of land. The business partners of theirs, they bought the adjacent plot of land, and then it was like just some weird like sell off between the two parties. So anyway, there was just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff. And then I think Joe Biden stayed on that island where his brother purchased the plot of land, but like didn't stay. He stayed at an Airbnb. There's a lot of details. So anyway, if you guys are interested, you can go to nataliedenise.tv, watch that for free. It's called Joe and some deals or something like that. Anyway, So it's not a secret. It's not a secret that, that these are some open dealings, and that, possibly he did fund his son's habit. Moving on to Loudoun County. Okay, so there was a father who was dragged out of a school board meeting. No. Shoot. No. Okay, hold on. Shoot. Let me take a pause. I got to pause, guys, because my microphone just fell and it spilled my iced coffee all over the desk. So give me a second. Crap. Crisis averted. Of course this would happen in the middle of a podcast. Of course. Yay! Wow! I've always wanted that to happen during a podcast. For my iced coffee to just spill everywhere, all over my desk. Okay, crisis averted. It wasn't that bad. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and move on. I'm back, I promise. Okay, so this dad gets dragged out of a school board meeting. Now it's revealed that the reason why he was sharing his concerns at the school board meeting was because his daughter was actually sexually abused by I believe a trans student, and that trans student was actually in the girls' bathroom, and this girl was raped. And so the argument with the school system is that, hey, you guys changed the rules. You guys are allowing this to happen. You guys are actually enabling, these types of situations to actually transpire. So this was recently revealed right here. Let's take a look at this video. I believe this is where he was actually dragged.
Listen to me. At this point, the meeting is over, right? It's not over. It's not over. We were meeting. If you look.
So anyway, they are changing the rules, allowing for these types of fringe minority type of lifestyles, and of course, they're enabling it for children now. So it just creates this environment where H-Town hey H-Town, what up? It creates this environment where it enables the students who, again, I always repeat this, these students do not have that that frontal lobe cortex developed yet. They just don't. They don't have that frontal lobe cortex developed. And so, when you leave these decisions up to the adolescents to make on their own, they're going to make some stupid mistakes. I mean, I made stupid mistakes back in the day. I made, I was a good kid for the most part, but I still made stupid mistakes. It's just because you just don't have a development. You don't have that development process in your and anatomically in your head developed completely. So when you let them make decisions, or you open them up to this world of sexuality so early, like, of course, like, you're enabling them to explore even the dark sides of that world. And if these kids come from broken families, they're not getting the right care or the right sort of attention, the healthy attention that they ought to be getting at home, then they're going to go down dark paths. I mean, that's just how life is. So anyway, let's get to the story. A Virginia father who went viral after being dragged out of the Loudoun County School Board meeting and arrested for protesting its proposed transgender policies, has now revealed he was trying to tell the room that his daughter had been raped by a boy at the school in the girls' bathroom. Scott Smith was photographed on June 22nd being dragged out of a heated meeting with his torso exposed in Leesburg, Virginia. The 48-year-old plumber was ridiculed on social media afterwards and was painted by the left as a deranged right-wing bigot. But in an interview with the Daily Wire that was published on Monday, he was explaining that he was trying to stick up for his daughter, that it was he was attacked at Stonebridge High School on May 28th by a boy wearing a skirt. Smith says that the boy took advantage of the school's trans policies to get into the girls' bathroom and to assault her. 2 months after the incident, the boy, who had not been named because he is a juvenile, was arrested for forced sodomy. And in October, he was arrested again on different charges for allegedly assaulting a different girl and a different school. He is now a juvenile in detention center. But Smith says Loudoun County schools went out of their way to protect the child, a sexual predator. The school has still not commented on it. It has been hard to keep my mouth shut and wait this out. It's been the most powerless thing I've ever been through, he said. Could you guys imagine that? Just imagine that you are a parent of a violated high schooler who you would never want them to go through like that sort of atrocity ever in their life. They go through it and then they don't get the justice. They get shut up and then they get dragged. And then on top of that, a cherry on top, the left wants to drag the person, this father, for trying to speak out on the issue. Hey, my daughter was violated. And, it was partly your policies that enabled this sort of, exploration, this sort of behavior, and even the place setting for it. They're allowed in the restrooms. And now, this boy who might or might not have been fully transitioned as a female or whatever, just decided that he was able to go into the restroom. So it's like, when can they flip flop? Where's the protection? So that's the argument, and he got dragged out. He says, my wife and I are gay and lesbian friendly. We're not into this children transgender stuff. The person that attacked our daughter is apparently bisexual and occasionally wears dresses because he likes them. So this kid is technically not what the school board was fighting about. The point is that kids are using it as an advantage to get into bathrooms, he said. On the day of the incident, Smith says that the school told him to come to the campus because his daughter had been physically assaulted. They did not say that she had been sexually assaulted. Once he got there, the school staff told him that they would handle it internally, choosing not to call the police for as yet, and explain, I'm calling the police right now. I'm calling the police right now. That is unacceptable. Oh, this is in Virginia. For those of you that are listening in Virginia, if you guys live in Virginia, you guys got to show up. You guys got to be vocal about this. I mean, this is communities lifting up communities right now. And this is a grassroots effort to lift up these voices. This is completely unacceptable. This high school ought to be investigated. I mean, if we had the correct agency to do it, but this is absolutely atrocious that a minor can get raped at school, and yet the school does absolutely nothing. We need the principal's name. We need the school board. We need everything. Like, this is a crime. The dad said that he was enraged, and that he called the principal, derogatory words. The school's principal sent out an alert on that day, warning parents that what had happened to involving Smith, and that nothing of the sexual assault allegations in the bathroom. It's unclear exactly what happened next, but Smith ended up at the hospital with his daughter. They were told doctors what happened and that a rape kit was performed. A rape kit was performed. Thank God, he said, that I drew enough attention to it without getting arrested, that we got an escort to the hospital and they administered a rape kit that night. The rape kit verified his daughter's claim, so they took it to the police and the case was open. The teenager was arrested 2 months later. 2 whole months later. 2 whole months later. This kid, this is what it does. Like, I saw somebody saying like there's some sort of like homophobia added to this. It's not about homophobia, guys. Like, it's not about that. Like, guys, sexual exploitation happens in stages. Like, you have to understand that, like, grooming processes, and there's levels to this. Kids should not be exposed to a level of sexuality in that way, because they're just not ready for it. I mean, they're just not ready to process those type of decisions. This kid is obviously probably has a darker past. He was probably assaulted growing up himself. I'll be honest with you. But this is why you do not open up the door to this type of sexual nature up to kids. So it's not about homophobia. It's not about like hating on these people for their lifestyle, but it's like children should not even be put in a place where they're opening up their own decisions about this type of stuff, putting placemats, being allowed in placeholders like bathrooms, where they can just identify one day out of the other. So in the weeks and months that followed, Lancaster, the juvenile's boy's attorneys, were working out a plea deal, but it's unclear if the school board ever took action against him. According to Lancaster, the boy confessed to what happened in police interviews. So the boy even confessed his crime to the police, but the school board did nothing. You guys understand? The school board did nothing. But the little dude is literally confessing to police, yes, I did it. Oh, this is infuriating. Lancaster, who's a partner at Leesburg firm Whitbeck Bennett, says that she accompanied Smith's daughter to interviews with the prosecutors. At the meeting on June 22nd, Loudoun County School Superintendent Scott Ziegler said that the school had never seen any form of incident inside the bathroom or locker room involving a transgender child. He says, to my knowledge, we don't have any record of assaults occurring in our restrooms, he said first, which probably is straight up lying, because if the little dude is literally confessing to his crime, how are you going to say that it never happened? Like, who are you that you're so above the truth that you're going to just straight up and lie? So this father went to the school board meeting and he got irate, obviously, as you guys saw in the pictures. And he started arguing back and forth, what seems to be with one of the members. And he started getting dragged out. He was trying to open up about his daughter's experience. There are a lot of cowarding people at these school board committees, they are calling on the FBI. You guys saw that? Actually, I was sick. I actually had laryngitis when this happened, but you guys remember I actually did a piece on this last week before I actually had laryngitis. But there was I did a piece where they actually the school board actually wrote the letter to the DOJ, and they were like, hey, DOJ, can you I thought it was comical at the time. I really thought it was comical because I didn't think that the DOJ was actually going to come through with it. for whatever reason. But I thought it was comical because the school board, like somewhere else, they were like, dear DOJ, dear, Secret Service, dear Biden, can you please like send your little flying monkeys down here and intimidate these parents because they're domestic terrorists, because they're standing up for their children and like pushing back on the narratives and the rhetorics and the curriculums and stuff like that. And the DOJ actually came through. That snatched my wig, honestly. It snatched my wig. I didn't expect it. I thought that was comical. I thought that they were not going to get through with it. I thought that this was just like, they're doing some cute little thing where they're trying to get the parents, intimidated. But the DOJ actually came out with some sort, Merrick Garland, he came out with some sort of letter like, you parents are domestic terrorists for doing this and all that. It's clown world. So they're essentially making parents like this. They're just labeling him straight up across as a domestic terrorist when he's actually trying to speak up about his daughter's sexual assault, and it just, it makes a lot of things transparent about this particular school board. Obviously, they're not caring about kids' safety. They're not caring about these cases that are really serious and egregious. They don't care. And they're going to go through with their curriculum, and their curriculum actually enables this type of behavior, believe it or not. And they're saying that, parents should not have a say, excuse me, my voice was cracking, a say in their child's education and what curriculum they ought to be teaching them. It's stuff like this. Oh, that's right. Jilly Rabbit. Jilly, what up, Jilly? Jilly Rabbit says Garland's son son-in-law is a conflict of interest. He promotes CRT. That's right. So Merrick Garland writes this letter last week, basically, dubbing every parent who attends a school board meeting and who wants to push back as a domestic terrorist. And yet his son-in-law, he has a conflict of interest because his son-in-law somehow has something to do with the CRT curriculum that gets taught in these schools, in which, in a circle of life, the parents are pushing back on. It's just a big circle. I mean, I really hate this. I really hate this. It's not about this is not even about it's not about left or right. This is about good and what is good and what is not good. I'm not going to say the E word because I don't want but you know what I mean? This is not about a spectrum of political views. It's like a child literally gets raped at school. You know what I mean? Your child gets raped at school, sexually assaulted. The rape kit confirms it. The police reports confirm it. The little kid sexual predator confesses it. And yet the school board does not want to do anything about it. Or we're living in a time, guys. We're living in a time. I'm going to pivot before I get even more angry at this, because this is just, it's really angering how critically thinking, how common sense has just left the building. Up to safety points like that. Safety, basic things, safety. You know what I mean? Oh, cheese and crack. Let me move on. Let me pivot. Right? I'm pivoting because I'm going to get mad. And I'm going to mess up my voice if I get mad even more. Pivoting on. Maxine Waters seems to be trying to play off this thing where her Twitter gets hacked. It's so strange. Such a strange line of events. This is a tweet by her. And it says, I have been hacked and my Twitter account has been erased. I know who has done this. I will take care of this. M. Waters. Very cryptic. Very cliffhanger-ish. We don't really know what that meant. But of course, everybody was like speculating, like, what are you talking about, lady? What are you talking about? Like, everything got deleted? Everything got deleted because your account's still there? Everything got deleted? Are you sure? Strange. But Reuters, of all things, Reuters is saying, oh, there's no evidence that it got deleted. Twitter says, no signs U.S. Representative Maxine Waters' account was hacked. Twitter said on Tuesday that it did not find any signs that Maxine Waters' Twitter account had been hacked after an earlier tweet sent by the Democrat verified profile claimed the account had been erased. I just read out the tweet to you. Some Twitter users poked fun at the strange situation, pointing that the tweet came from her verified account, which still existed on the site. Yeah, it's just like a very obvious thing to observe. She's like, oh. It's like saying someone stole your shoes, but you're wearing the shoes. You know what I mean? Like, she's still tweeting from the account. She's claiming that it got deleted. A Twitter spokesperson declined to comment on Waters' tweet, but says, as is standard, we have open lines of communication with their office and have worked with them to ensure the account is secure. At this time, we've identified no signs of account compromise. And of course, Maxine Waters has not responded to comment. Of course not. Of course not. Why would she? Oh, Maxine Waters. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what was going on behind that tweet, though. You know what I mean? Like, what warrants her to tweet that? What warrants her to, like, if someone else, some other actor, like, deleted her Twitter contents, because obviously her account's still there. What was behind it? You know, what are they trying to delete? Strange. It's strange. It's some strange stuff. All right. Pivoting on. It's still a mystery. Sorry to leave you with that cliffhanger, but I just wanted to let you know that's a strange piece of news with Maxine Waters. It just makes me wonder, like, if somebody had to delete a bunch of stuff, what would they delete and why? It's the big question right now. All right, so we all know by now the whole controversy with Southwest, what's going on. I went through that news a couple days ago. Apparently, there's some conflicting news that, it's not due to, of course, Jen circle back today. I mentioned earlier, she said, it's not due to the poking the arm mandates. That's just completely false. Like, completely, don't believe what you see, don't believe what you hear. And then there's literal, like, employees that are going in the DMs of influencers, patriotic influencers. They're saying, hey, like, this, we're literally doing this. Like, this is actually happening. And it's all in protest of the Vasheen. So here, a pilot told American Greatness, this publication here, that the mandate did not sit well with him or his colleagues. So he spills the tea. What's going on behind the scenes? He says, this is a pilot, an anonymous pilot, apparently. This is a collection of very conservative white-collar professionals that are very successful and have done well, he says. You mandate a Vasheen on them, and these aren't necessarily people that are going to comply, he explained, adding to some extent they're going to resist. He says that over the holiday weekend, Southwest probably saw a 20% increase in the flights and relied on goodwill pilots to fly those extra trips. The way Southwest schedules these flights these days, he says, they rely on a significant number of pilots to pick up an extra trip for time and a half time and a half overpay. That time and a half pay is usually enough to enticement to draw the needed number of pilots to fly those trips, he says. After the Vasheen mandate, my friend James over at We the People Radio made up the way to say the Vasheen. After the Vasheen mandate, however, Southwest couldn't have expected any pilots to sign up for those extra flights, he said. The same was true for pilots who called in sick. Let's say that I was supposed to work this past weekend after this Vasheen mandate, and what, I'm going to lose my sick days in a month or 45 days. So I might as well just use them and stay home and help potty train my 2-year-old. You know what I mean? The pilot said, these are my sick days and I own them. They're mine. He continued. So you have some people calling in sick, and then you have this extra 20% of flights that they're relying on people to come out here and cover, the pilot explained. And people like me are saying, a week ago, you mandated me to do something I'm not comfortable doing. So these are the dominoes beginning to fall, he says. Southwest runs on a tight schedule, and this is what the pilot says. I didn't say that. The pilot says that. Southwest runs on a tight schedule, and they say that they're trying to get people to do overtime, and they're relying on the goodwill of their staff to do that, and it's not going to happen right now. There's no goodwill right now at that company, he says. The pilot told American Greatness that the Southwest rally really relies on goodwill of its employees. Historically, it's his family. It's people that care about each other and people that will go out of their way to give the shirt off their back to you, he says, adding that the management in 1 week had completely demolished all of the goodwill. He stressed that there's no organized sick out or even unofficial talk amongst themselves, not about calling in sick. Nothing like that is going on, he insisted. However, the pilot went on to note, everyone knew what was going to be a busy weekend. The airline would be relying on everyone working together like we're on one happy family. I knew the consequences and of me doing what we would do, he said. I knew it would make the tight weekend even tighter, but did I know that there would be maybe 100 other people doing it? I didn't know that. He defended his actions, saying, all I was doing was using my sick days before I get terminated. Update. According to the conservative director, Robbie Starbuck, there's people in his inbox. So that's just one account from one pilot. Just one pilot. And I just want to say that the source that I had in my DMs said that it was going to escalate into pilots. So I believe that there are levels to what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing, but it seems like they're going to do it in stages. And if there's no back down, the pilots themselves, the maintenance workers, they're going to step in somehow and really, really dent in the system. That's what I hear. I'm not concluding that. I'm not giving my opinion on it. I'm just saying, that's what I got as a source in my inbox. All right, time for some traffic reports. So this is a new report that I put in my podcast, some traf news. You guys get it? Some human exploitation news. Tarrant County multi-agency operation nets 115 human exploitation arrests. This is DFW area, Texas. The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office announced 15 felony arrests for human exploitation over the course of just 1 week. While they announced the success of the operation, they didn't really get into details about how they conducted the operation. The Sheriff's Office teamed up with Fort Worth Police and Department of Public Safety in what it called Operation Buyer Beware. It focused on the demand which drives sex trafficking. I said it. Gosh darn it. On Monday, Tarrant County Sheriff Bill Wayborn announced this week's long investigation involving the Departments of Human Trafficking's unit, Texas DPS, Fort Worth Police, Arlington Police, and Department of Homeland Security, and others. It called Operation Buyer Beware, and focused the demand on which drives sex exploitation. Together, they arrested a total of 115 people. They were all men with ages ranging from 20 to 75. Some of them were repeat offenders. Of course, they always are. They always are. Because we need an overhaul in the justice system. It just has to happen. These offenders are always repeats. Always, always, always repeats. Always, always, always repeats. They always get a slap in the hand. These are repeat offenders. That's why they keep getting recycled back on the streets. That's why they keep doing what they're doing. That's why they always get caught in stings over and over and over again, because they don't get enough time. They don't get enough punishment. Some of these people have serious problems, says one of the law enforcement. Some of them are abusers. Some of them decoys we use are underage, said Fort Worth Assistant Police Chief Joe Sparrow. These are abusers. They are people who don't care about other people. They are users, and they want to harm our citizens. That's what we are fighting against. It's an evil that is with us, and we're trying to send the signal today that this will not be tolerated in Tarrant County. These people who are arrested from every walk of life, from every social economic group, from every ethnicity or race. They say that these men, they were trying to solicit sex from both men and women. Some were underage. We're going to try to rescue them as well. After the solicitor, he said, what we try to do is to introduce them to 501Cs that are very, very good at helping people out of exploitation. So just another sting happening into, that's a lot of people. Look at that. Look at all those people. Look at all those people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of offenders too. There's a lot of offenders and abusers in there. Guys, let me just give you a little education piece on the fueling of the industry of sexual exploitation. When you transact, buy porn, watch porn, it actually fuels whether like people agree with it or not, it's literal fueling the sexual exploitation industry, because not only does it already create that fantasy, that unrealistic fantasy in men's brains, and of course there's a whole science to like how their brain changes on porn and transacting sex and buying sex over and over again, but also there's never going to be enough supply for the demand. Okay, so with that being said, eventually downstream, down the line, there will be a victim, to fuel their demand. This is a lot of demand. And in a final report for the traffic report, in Guatemala, more than 100 immigrants were found trapped in a container. They wanted to reach America. And this is these are the very dangerous conditions that you will find either in the United States or, along the way. But this happens. This happens, and smugglers don't care. Coyotes don't care. All they care about is the transaction. And of course, because there's so many people now, there's so many people trying to cross over, so many caravans, they can charge, less, but they're going to charge, of course, they're going to get more money because more people are crossing over. So all they care about is the money. They don't care about their safety. On Thursday, and this is from the Newsnet Nebraska, on Thursday, Mexican police found another 652 people stranded in 6 trailers near the U.S. border. The pessimistic flow of Haitian immigrants trying to reach the United States via Central America has not stopped. Guatemalan police rescued 126 people trapped in an abandoned trailer on the side of the road. I'm telling you, these coyotes don't care. These smugglers don't care. These traffickers don't care. They care about the moolah. That's all they care about. All they care about is getting payday. They don't care. They don't care about their safety. They don't care about like the well-being of children and women and children on these trips. They don't care. They will leave them stranded on the side of the road. All they care is about their transaction. 106 from Haiti, 11 from Nepal, 9 from Ghana begin their journey from Honduras to the United States. And the hands of human traffickers, residents of the south of the country are called the police near the screams of desperate immigrants and calls for help. The kidnappers are believed to be abandoned in the container. The kidnappers are believed to have abandoned the container with the people trapped inside after it was accused of taking immigrants across the U.S. border via Mexico. This is not the first time it has happened. These are dramatic episodes of reoccurrence in the Central American countries. On Thursday, Mexican police found 650, this is close to 1,000, 652 immigrants packed in 6 trailers near the U.S. border. Half were minors. Half of these 652 immigrants were minors. 200 of them were unaccompanied. Cheese and crackers. That's what 325 were approximately 326 were minors. Of that 326, you're telling me that 2/3 of them were unaccompanied. that, like, this is huge news. Like, why are people not talking? It is crazy. It's crazy that this doesn't get talked about. That's why you got to count on your girl, Natalie Denise, to lay down this news for you, because nobody else is talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. So anyway, guys, this is crazy news. That's probably one of the craziest news out of everything that I read tonight. You know, besides the father, which got me enraged. Father versus the school board. 652 people abandoned in a trailer, half of which were minors, which makes it 326 were minors, and 200 of those minors, 2/3 of the minors, were unaccompanied. Where were they taking them? Okay, like what spooked the kidnappers to just leave it there? You know, like what were they on their way to an operation? That's insane. Insanity. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for tuning into Unravel Nightly with Natalie, Unravel with Natalie Denise, a segment of Unravel with Natalie Denise. Hey, be sure to like, share, subscribe if you're watching this on my video platform, either on Rumble or on on YouTube. And if you're listening to this, please give this podcast 5 stars. So that way your girl will advance in the algorithms and everybody will know about me. Yeah. Everybody will know about the news. Yeah, this is crazy. Of course, another day in clown world. What's new? What's new, guys? Anyway, guys, that was it. We went an hour. We made some good timing. We made some good news. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for loving the channel. Thank you for your support for the channel. If it's on your heart and you can do so, there are links in my description that will help me with this type of work to help keep me going. I would appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for your love. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning into Unravel with Natalie Denise. Please give this podcast 5 stars.